My sister told my 10-year-old, Thanksgiving turkey is only for family. Everyone laughed, so I quietly took him on a $23,000 Bahamas trip and stopped paying her mortgage. You know that feeling? That absolute, gut-wrenching moment when you realize something fundamentally broken, something you've been ignoring for years, has finally shattered into a million pieces right in front of you. For me, it happened over a damn Thanksgiving turkey, watching my own sister cruelly dismiss my son, and my family just letting it happen. The fork in my hand was already trembling when my sister, Caroline, leaned over my 10-year-old, Luke, and sweetly, too sweetly, called him sweetheart. Her voice, loud enough for the whole table to hear, cut through the holiday chatter. Sweetheart, she chirped, Thanksgiving turkey is for family. Then, with a casual flick of her wrist, she slid the serving dish away from him. Like he was reaching for a centerpiece, not dinner. Like he didn't belong. A snort escaped someone. One of my uncles let out this tight, awful chuckle, the kind where people know they shouldn't laugh, but they're too cowardly to be the only one not joining in. My mom stared into her wine glass like it held all the answers. My dad just kept carving, his knife scraping against the platter, pretending he didn't hear a thing. Luke froze. His hand, still curled around the empty plate he'd been holding out, hung in the air. His ears turned pink first, then his gaze dropped to the tablecloth, to the pattern of little orange leaves my mom only used for fancy holidays. He didn't argue. He didn't say, I am family. He just slowly, painfully, pulled his plate back, staring at the single dry scoop of mashed potatoes on it, and swallowed hard. That was it. That hot rush behind my eyes. The way my chest got so tight it felt like someone had wrapped a strap around my ribs and was ratcheting it tighter and tighter. My first instinct, honestly? To stand up, flip that table, send turkey flying at the wall, and scream until every single person there had to look at themselves and what they'd just witnessed. Instead, I sat very, very still. Caroline, oblivious, laughed and nudged the turkey closer to her own kids. You can have more potatoes, Luke, she added, like she was being so generous. You already had pizza at your dad's this week, right? You're not missing out. Luke nodded quickly. Yeah, it's okay. His voice was so small. Too small for a 10-year-old. I looked around the table, waiting. For someone. Anyone. My mom cleared her throat, starting Caroline, but my sister cut her off with a bright, brittle smile. Relax, Mom. It's just a joke. He knows we love him. That word, joke, did the weird thing it always does in my family. It took something genuinely mean and tried to spray perfume on it. People shifted in their chairs. Someone clinked a glass. The conversation lurched back into motion like nothing had happened. Except it had. Luke stared down at his plate, like if he looked up and met my eyes, I'd make it real by saying something. That's when I knew. I pushed my chair back, the sound scraping loud against the tile floor. Hey buddy, I said, standing. My voice was calmer than I felt, impossibly calm. Grab your hoodie. He blinked fast. We're going. Yeah. I reached for his hand. My palm was sweating. Let's go. No one said a word at first. Then my dad finally looked up, his carving knife hovering over the turkey. Sam, come on. We just sat down. I didn't look at him. Luke, I repeated, my voice a little harder now. Hoodie. My sister laughed. That sharp, cutting sound I knew so well from years of being the butt of it. You're really leaving over turkey? I squeezed Luke's hand. We're leaving because I don't let anyone talk to my son like that. Luke's chair scraped as he stood. He didn't look at anyone. He just kept his eyes glued to our joined hands, like that was the only solid thing in the room. I walked him out, past the buffet, past the framed family photos on the wall where he only appeared in one, half cut off at the edge. The smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon candles followed us down the hall. No one tried to stop us. I opened the front door, and the cold November air hit my face like a slap I actually needed. We stepped onto the porch, and behind us, the laughter started up again. My name's Sam. I'm Luke's dad. I build ads, optimize funnels, stare at dashboards until numbers start to feel like people. Mostly, it's just the two of us in our small townhouse. His mom, my ex, moved to Denver a couple of years ago. They do long weekends and summers. It's not perfect, but it's peaceful. And peace, I've learned, is something you don't take for granted. My family, on the other hand, is not peaceful. Caroline is my older sister, 3 years my senior, married, 3 kids, lives in the same suburb as our parents. She's struggling. Her husband, Todd, works construction, but it's never enough. I make good money, I'm comfortable. I max my 401k. I sometimes splurge on first class when Luke's with me because his legs finally got long enough that Coach feels cramped. In my family, that made me the default problem solver. It started small. A couple hundred here and there for daycare, a surprise car repair for my parents. Then, 3 years ago, the mortgage thing happened. Todd got hurt. Nothing life-threatening, but enough to knock him out of work. They were already behind. Caroline called me, sobbing in the parking lot of their bank, convinced they'd lose the house. I ran numbers in my head like I would for a client. I could help. It would be tight, but I'd manage. I'll cover your mortgage until Todd's back on his feet, I told her. It was supposed to be 3 months. It turned into 36. Every first of the month, $1,480 left my account and went straight to their Wells Fargo mortgage. I barely looked at it after the first year. It was just another line item, like my own rent. My parents knew. They treated it like proof I was finally stepping up, the man of the family. In exchange, they gave me access. Not respect. Not kindness for my kid. Just access. We got invited to everything. Easter, 4th of July, Sunday dinners. Luke always came. I wanted him to know his cousins, his grandparents, what a big family felt like. But even before Thanksgiving, there were cracks I kept ignoring. Like the year Luke turned 8, and all the other cousins got brand new Nintendo Switches from my parents for doing so well in school. Luke unwrapped a board game from the clearance rack and a sweatshirt 2 sizes too big. He moves between houses, my mom explained, her voice airy. We didn't want anything to get lost in the shuffle. Or the spring when Caroline took her kids to Six Flags with my parents and conveniently forgot to invite Luke. Then she posted photos of them eating funnel cake, with the caption, "All the grandkids together." Luke was sitting next to me on the couch when he saw it, his face falling as he counted, 1, 2, 3 cousins, and my baby niece in a stroller. 4 grandkids. Guess they forgot I exist, he said, with a little laugh that was far too practiced for an 8-year-old. I told myself they were just thoughtless, not cruel. That they didn't mean it the way it looked. That if I kept showing up, kept helping, they'd eventually see Luke as fully theirs. I should have known better. We drove home from Thanksgiving in almost complete silence. Luke sat in the back seat, seatbelt cutting diagonally across his hoodie, hands tucked in the front pocket. It was 7:30 p.m., dark. He watched the cars go by, like he was counting something only he could see. I replayed the scene over and over, Caroline's hand, casually moving the platter. My dad not looking up. My mom's mouth pinching, but not opening. This wasn't a slip. It wasn't a weird joke that missed. It was a line in the sand. "Hey," I said finally, my voice low. "You hungry?" "I'm fine," he lied. He'd eaten half a dinner roll and a spoonful of potatoes. He was 10. He should have been stuffed and sleepy, not hollow and quiet. "We'll grab something on the way," I said. "What do you want?" He shrugged. "Doesn't matter." I pulled into the drive-thru of the first place we passed and ordered him a giant chicken tenders meal with extra fries. And yeah, honey. He didn't say anything until the bag was in his lap. "Dad?" "Yeah, buddy." "Did I do something?" I thought Aunt Caroline liked me. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "You didn't do anything," I said. Sometimes adults forget how to be kind. "That's not on you." He was quiet for a second, the crinkle of the paper bag the only sound. "Her kids are more family than me, right?" It landed heavier than anything my sister had said. Because it wasn't the first time he'd had to do that math. Gifts, photos, trips. He'd been reading the data for years. In my work, we talk about conversion signals. Little actions that add up to a decision. Clicks, views, scrolls. Looking back, my family had been sending me signals for a long time. The year my parents forgot Luke's birthday, but remembered to remind me that property taxes were due. The way Caroline always introduced him to new people as Sam's boy, but her own kids as Mom's pride and joy. The time my dad joked, "At least your kids have some stable parent," right in front of Luke after my ex moved. Little cuts. Easy to dismiss one by one. Easy to excuse when there's money flowing in the other direction and years of history tying you to people who think paying their bills is the same thing as loving them. 3 months before this Thanksgiving, Caroline had called me about the mortgage. "We're thinking of redoing the kitchen," she'd said, like she was ordering coffee. "Since you're already helping with the house, the bank said we could probably refinance if you just co-sign." "No," I said, without even checking my calendar. It surprised both of us. I rarely told her no. She laughed, unsure. "No as in not right now, or no as in?" "No," I clarified, "as in I already send you nearly $1,500 every month. I'm not tying my credit to your granite countertops." She went cold so fast I could hear it over the phone. "Wow. Okay. You don't have to be rude." After that, the little jabs got sharper. "Some people think they're better than the rest of us just because they work on a laptop," she'd sniped one Sunday when I showed up in jeans instead of real pants. Or when Luke answered a question about school, she rolled her eyes and muttered, "He talks like a little adult." Guess that happens when your dad has no social life. I let it roll off. That's what I told myself anyway. But the turkey. The deliberate for-family line. That wasn't a jab. That was a hit. She'd made a move in front of her kids, my parents, our extended family. She wanted everyone to see the hierarchy. Her kids were the real grandkids. Luke was the outsider, the guest, the temporary. And they laughed. That was the part that kept me up that night. After Luke finally fell asleep, full and exhausted in his bed, I sat on the couch with my laptop open. A half-finished Black Friday campaign pulled up on one side of the screen, my bank on the other. Columns of numbers blinked back at me. Income, retainers, ad spend, reimbursements, and then mortgage autopay, $1,480. $1,480. $1,480. 36 rows in a neat vertical line, stretching back through 3 years of "just until Todd's back at work," and "we're almost caught up," and "you're really helping us stay afloat, little brother." I scrolled down to the scheduled payment section and saw it. Asterisk next payment, December 1st, $1,480. Caroline and Todd/Wells Fargo mortgage autopay. Asterisk my cursor hovered over the edit button. This wasn't about the turkey. It wasn't about one plate. It was about the fact that I had been funding the roof over the heads of people who had just told my kid out loud that he didn't belong under it. They'd been happy to accept my money. They just never accepted my son. I clicked at it. Then I clicked cancel recurring payment. A confirmation box popped up. "Are you sure you want to cancel this automatic payment?" I sat there, listening to the refrigerator hum and the soft whir of Luke's bedroom fan down the hall. My heart was pounding harder than it does before a big campaign launch. "Yes," I whispered, and clicked confirm. The cancellation email hit my inbox at 11:47 p.m. Asterisk your recurring payment to Caroline and Todd/Wells Fargo mortgage has been canceled. Asterisk for 3 minutes. I just stared at it. Then, out of habit, I opened the spreadsheet I used to track my personal finances. Each client had their own tab. Each month had its own sheet. It looked like any of the dashboards I built for work. Only this one was my life. Line by line, I erased Caroline mortgage $1,480 from the next 12 months and watched the projected balance adjust. I wasn't cutting them off in a rage text. I wasn't making threats I didn't intend to keep. I was doing what I do best, changing the budget and letting the numbers tell the story. The extra money each month looked big. Bigger than I'd let myself see while I was in automatic helper mode. I created a new line item, experiences with Luke, $1, $200/month, not all of the $1,480. I still had savings goals, retirement, emergencies, but $1,200 a month set aside just for us. That changed the picture. I opened another tab, flights. I'd seen an ad earlier that day, ironically, one of my own clients' retargeting campaigns. A resort in the Bahamas with this obnoxiously perfect shot of a dad and kids snorkeling over bright fish. Luke had paused the TV to stare at it. "That looks fake," he'd said, half-awed. "The water's too blue." "It's real," I told him. "Some places really look like that." I pulled up December packages. Prices jumped around as I changed dates. I filtered by nonstop flights, then by "can I do this without nuking my IRA?" There it was. A 7-day trip, leaving the following Friday. 2 first-class tickets, Dallas to Nassau, nonstop, $8,900. 7 nights at an all-inclusive resort with a water park and kids club, $9,600. Airport transfers, a snorkeling excursion, that dolphin thing Luke had begged about once, about $2,500 total. Food outside the resort, tips, random souvenirs. I budgeted another $2,000. Rough total, around $23,000. $23,000. Or, put another way, about 15 months of someone else's mortgage. My thumb hovered over the trackpad. I barely feel it when I authorize $50,000 in monthly ad spend for clients. But spending $23,000 on myself and my kid? That felt huge. Then I pictured Luke at that table, shrinking into his hoodie while my sister slid the turkey away and laughed. I pictured the years of quiet exclusion, of smaller gifts and missed invites, and photos where he was cropped out or forgotten. And I thought, if I can throw money at people who won't even feed my son, I can damn well throw money at a week where he's the center of the universe. My card details were already autofilled. I hit book. The confirmation pinged my email a second later. I didn't tell Luke that night. I wanted to see his face in the morning when he wasn't tired and raw. He padded into the kitchen at 8 a.m., hair sticking up, Star Wars pajamas slightly too short at the ankles. "Morning," I said, sliding a plate of pancakes across the counter. "Got a question for you." He yawned. "'Kay. If you could go anywhere with just me for a week, no school, no work, no family, where would you want to go?" He blinked, eyes sharpening as the idea landed. "Anywhere. Anywhere." He thought for maybe 3 seconds. "The place with the blue water from the commercial, where they were swimming with the yellow fish." I smiled. "Good choice." I turned my laptop toward him, the booking confirmation open on the screen. "Because I kind of already did that." His eyes went wide. "Wait. For real? For real? We leave Friday after school. You'll miss a few days next week, but I already emailed your teacher." His mouth dropped open. "Is this actually happening?" "Yeah, buddy. It's happening." He launched himself around the counter and hugged me so hard I almost dropped my coffee. For the first time in a long time, the money I was spending felt exactly right. I didn't call my family. I didn't send a dramatic group text. I just went on with my week, worked my campaigns, packed our suitcases, made sure Luke had enough swim shorts that actually fit. The only other thing I did was move my parents' contact notifications into a separate folder called Noise, so I wouldn't accidentally see their texts pop up. We flew out Friday afternoon. Luke couldn't stop touching every button in first class, adjusting his seat up and down, whispering, "This is crazy," every time the flight attendant brought him something. When the plane took off, he gripped my arm and then laughed when his stomach dropped. "Best day of my life," he said, somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico, face pressed to the window. On the island, everything felt loud and bright in the best way. The air was heavy salty. The resort smelled like sunscreen and waffles. Luke spent hours racing down water slides, coming up with hair plastered to his head and a grin so wide it made me forget anything bad had ever happened at a dining table. We snorkeled just like the ad. The water really was that blue. Little yellow fish darted around us unbothered. Luke surfaced, pushed his mask up, and shouted, "Dad, this is insane." One afternoon, we lay in hammocks between 2 palms, listening to someone else's kids shriek in the distance. Luke was quiet for a while, swinging gently. "Dad?" "Yeah." "Is it bad that I don't miss them?" I knew who he meant. The cousins, my parents, Caroline, the whole unit. "No," I said, staring up at the leaves. "It's not bad. It just means you're having a good time where you're actually wanted." He nodded slowly, like he was filing that away. We got home the following Saturday, sunburned and tired in that clean, satisfied way. I posted the photos on Sunday. Not even out of spite at first. Just proud. A shot of Luke in his snorkel gear, thumbs up. A picture of our messy room with room service trays and wet towels. The wing of the plane from our first-class seats, with Luke's hand in the frame, pressing the recline button. Caption: Thankful looked a little different this year. The call came 12 minutes later. Caroline. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. What the hell, Sam? She snapped. No, hello. No, how was your trip? How can you afford that? First class? A whole week in the Bahamas? What, did you win the lottery? I leaned against my kitchen counter, still barefoot, faint sand grit under my heels. Hi, Caroline, I said. Nice to hear your voice. I'm serious, she shot back. Todd just saw your post, and now he's freaking out. Are you hiding money from us? Where's this coming from? We barely got the mortgage paid this month. There it was. The expectation, baked into every word. Your money is our business. It's not complicated, I said. I paused paying your mortgage. Silence. Like, actual, literal silence. I could hear the faint TV in her background and the click of my own refrigerator turning on, but nothing from her. You? What? I canceled the bill pay, I said. Last week. That money is going toward my son now. You know, the one you refused to serve turkey to. Her breath came out sharp. You can't just stop, Sam. We built our budget around. That's not my problem. Are you kidding me? Her voice went high and thin. We'll lose the house. The kids will what? I cut in, my voice still calm. Have to live in a place their parents can actually afford? I've been carrying your mortgage for 3 years, Caroline. And in all that time, you never once looked at Luke like he belonged. That is not true, she snapped. I love Luke. You're being dramatic over one joke. You embarrassed the whole family walking out like that. Mom's been crying all week. Mom can cry, I said. She can also cook more than potatoes if she wants my kid to eat. But I'm done paying to sit at a table where he's treated like a guest. You can't do this, she said again. But there was something else under it now. Panic. We're already behind. If you pull out now, they'll foreclose. Think about the children. I am, I said. I'm thinking about mine. Then I softened my voice, just slightly. Sam, I'm not your backup bank, Caroline. You're off my accounts. You'll figure it out. I hung up before she could call me selfish. The fallout started before I even put my phone down. Caroline blew up my messages. I was punishing her kids, financially abusing them, and apparently my new girlfriend had poisoned me. I don't even have a girlfriend, but if I did, she'd tell me to run. Then my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. Sammy, we need to talk. Caroline is hysterical. The bank is calling. You can't just pull support like that. We're family. Family hit different now. I texted instead of calling. I won't fund a family my son isn't part of, she replied right away. I was overreacting. No one said Luke wasn't family. Caroline made a silly comment. Don't throw away years of love over turkey. I looked at Luke on the floor, building a Lego ship, that beaded resort bracelet still on his wrist. It wasn't about the turkey, I wrote back. Asterisk, it's about 3 years of you all showing him he's second tier. No more. Asterisk, then I muted the chat. My dad sent one text. Asterisk, your mother is sick over this. I raised you better than to hold money over people's heads. Asterisk, you raised me to pay everyone's bills and take any treatment, I answered. I'm raising Luke different. He never responded. Caroline switched to guilt pictures. Overdue notices. Sad kids on the couch. A photo of the bank. Hope you're happy, she wrote. If we lose the house, it's on you. I finally replied, if you lose the house, it's because you lived in one you couldn't afford and treated the person covering it like an ATM. Then I blocked her. A week later, my cousin Jenna messaged me. Mom was telling everyone you'd abandoned Caroline, but forgot to mention the part where Caroline told Luke he wasn't family enough for turkey. For what it's worth, Jenna wrote, you did the right thing. I hadn't realized how badly I needed one person from that table to tell me I wasn't crazy. How's the noise level? I asked Luke that night while tucking him in. He frowned. What noise? Nothing, I said. Sleep. The house was suddenly quiet without my phone buzzing with family emergencies. Caroline didn't lose the house. Mom eventually admitted the bank worked something out and Todd picked up extra shifts. In other words, they adjusted. Like grown-ups. We weren't invited to Christmas. It stung a little when I saw the matching pajamas picture under my parents' tree. All of us together, just like always. Luke glanced at it while we made cookies. I like our pajamas better, he said, holding up his navy ones with planets. Me too, I realized. And I meant it. The next Thanksgiving, I booked a small lake cabin. 2 bedrooms, a fireplace, a wobbly dock. I texted Jenna to bring her crew. We set the table with mismatched plates. I added 2 empty chairs at the end. Who are those for? Luke asked. People who chose not to be here, I said. They can stay as empty chairs. He nodded and went back to lining up canned cranberry slices. When the turkey was ready, I carved the first big piece onto his plate. This, I said, is for the heart of the family. He laughed. Weird line, Dad. You're stuck with my writing. I'll allow it. Later, stuffed with pie, he handed me a folded paper. A table for stick figures, me, him, Jenna's twins, and 2 empty chairs with question marks. On top, he'd written, Thanksgiving equals me and Dad and people who act like family. My throat burned. I love it, I said. This one's going on our wall. That night, I taped it to the fridge next to our snorkeling photo from the Bahamas. My mom's generic, Happy Thanksgiving. Love you, text buzzed in. No mention of Luke. No mention of last year. I let it sit. For years, I thought paying for everyone else's stability was the cost of belonging. That if I covered mortgages and trips, they'd make a place for my kid. Turns out, you can't buy that. You buy time with your child instead. Trips. Small cabins. Silly pajamas. Moments where they never have to wonder if they're family enough to be fed. Luke's laughter floated down the hall as he tried to stay up with the twins. I folded one of the extra chairs and leaned it against the wall. The table finally looked honest.